What's up, everybody? I'm Chef Jourdan-Cha'Taun, and you are now tuned in to Chefish. Today, I actually have one of my friends, Erica Key, food blogger extraordinaire, right?
Correct.
That's how I would think of you. And then ultimately, we'll get into what you've been able to create from being a full-time blogger.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so beyond being a full-time blogger, I think for the past 10 years or so,
Yeah.
right? Where it's paying all of the bills.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which actually is a really good thing because sometimes I feel like we can reach success, but we don't know how to sustain success. So
for
it's
sure.
like we know how to get it, but we don't know how to keep it. But you actually have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Which I think is an amazing feat in the blogging area.
I stay in my lane. That's the best way not to crash.
Well, but you created it. So
Yeah. I mean, hello.
how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong?
Touché,
The
touché.
blueprint is right here. You know what I'm saying? So you've been doing that for the past 10 years. I know you from always kind of being like a resident on Fox5 Atlanta, but
Yes.
you've done Good Morning America, and you've also done CNN,
I have.
Food and Wine.
I have.
Okay. And then you essentially have been able to create a space where, because of all of the work that you've done with brands, you now help other people with their own brand identity.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like the Olivia Pope of the
It's
Olivia
handled.
Pope
It's
of,
handled.
you know, handling, but a lot of people don't know how to handle those spaces of branding, marketing with social media. And so you're like a wizard. It's like you wake up and you know, that's like a little light breakfast.
I mean, you know what? I think well, first of all, thank you for having me today. You know, I just
Welcome to Chefish.
It's so classy. I mean, we're matching. I love it. So, I mean, when I started my brand, it was not a space for bloggers, let alone they really stayed away from us. And the journalists really didn't like us because it was just like,
it's not respected.
Absolutely not.
You didn't go to school?
I mean, I went to school. I went to school for psychology.
No, but they don't care. You didn't go to school for journalism.
No, exactly. So it's like, why are you in our space?
Yes.
And then
gatekeeping.
And it was just like, you know, in every generation, when you're not familiar with something, you know, women couldn't used to wear pants.
Right.
You know, you were looked at as a floozy for wearing some slacks, you know? So, I mean, it's always in new generations that's kind of like, you know, spicing it up a little bit or whatever.
Right.
But the biggest thing was I knew that if God placed this idea on me, I'm going to have to bring it home. I'm going to bring a home run. And I just knew it. Like my cousin kept saying, you got to get an Instagram. I was like, girl, I ain't got time. And then I'm the most public private person you will ever meet. So I was like, what? They want me to post everything?
You see a lot, but you don't really see anything.
No, I like to mind my business and, you know, drink my
And I'm
spritzer.
collecting a check off every post that you see. None of this is free time, baby. I actually get paid for this.
You know what? We live in a generation right now that if you have a cell phone, you really can make $100.
Okay, wait. So before we get into, because you're getting into the entree, right?
Yeah, okay.
I'm only trying to give them a taste. So I'm going to rewind it just a little.
Let's do the moosh boosh, okay?
And, you know, I have to, for the people that speak my language, give a little appetizer, just a little taste. You know what I'm saying? So she, you know, she's biz boss over here, you know, getting into how she's been handling it. So I want to also focus on the fact that you've actually helped 250 businesses.
Yeah. We're creating content for them.
And what has that done for them?
I mean, everybody knows that now people aren't even asking for your website.
Right.
Like that's a secondary
No, what's
thought.
your Instagram?
That's the first thing.
People want to know your number.
They really.
What's your Instagram?
From dating, from food, from everything. So it's just like, you know, sometimes businesses, they don't have a good social digital footprint. Like the pictures are blurry, and everybody knows, especially in the food space, you eat with your eyes first. If it doesn't look good, if I say, oh, let me show you, it's like, this looks like mush. Like he's going to bring something over.
Right.
Versus somebody showing something beautiful that may not be able to cook, but it looks absolutely amazing.
Right.
You eat with your eyes first. So it's been very helpful when I have clients and brands to kind of bring the concepts to life and really provide strategy and education. No, this is why you have to focus on your social media. This is why you need clear photos. It can either make or break a business these days.
For 250 businesses, you've done that with their brand identity.
Yeah.
The brand identity, Olivia Pope over here. You know what I'm saying? Resurrecting. Resurrecting. in the influencer space, you've worked with major brands like Prosecco, Chambord, Bud Light, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
I mean, with your attire today, I would.
She likes to dress. I like the A-line. You know,
I mean,
I always tell my clients, especially the girls that are trying to like rebrand, you get further with class than you do with ass. Like literally, you want to be tasteful. You know what I mean? So it's just, I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
I mean, you know, who taught you that?
My mother. My mother's, for sure. Okay. She's a prude. So it's like my mother literally.
We don't even use words like this. So I just love it because it's already just telling me you're outside of the realm of.
I was 9 years old and my mother gave me a book and a pair of heels and said, walk.
What?
And I had to do it for like, I'm going to say 3 weeks until I got it right.
Are you serious?
Ankles weak, falling, get up. Like, my mom she does not play that at all. Like, you know, a little rude to never hurt nobody. I remember one time I came, my mother didn't start working until I was 16, but I remember I came, she's like, oh, you're coming to my job.
She didn't start, okay.
And I came to her job and like my shirt was wrinkled. And she's like, you are not coming to my job. You are staying in the car.
What?
Yeah. She's like,
presentation matters.
Dress how you want to be addressed.
Okay.
I'm not going to look like
she was serious mother. About that.
Absolutely.
See, I look like an unfit mother and maybe that's why I'm back here single. But I need the A cuts.
You know, but it's like, you know, when you go somewhere and you're greeted by somebody, you know, you look at them kind of sideways, you know, you go to park your car and the valet doesn't have on a valet suit. He just got on like a track. Sir, what you doing here? Like,
are you really the valet?
Exactly. You know, it makes people, but that's how it's just dress how
you know what? When you use that metaphor, it made more sense to me than like, because, you know, I think that sometimes as women, I think that we still need to like push past the male patriarchy. For sure. Because it's so embedded in us. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I ain't selling pussy and plates, but I don't really have a problem with showing cleavage or my arms. And if I want to wear a short skirt, then I'm going to sit in an appropriate way. But I think that sometimes, because it's easy to have those conversations and then sometimes it can sound, you know, like
dated.
It's the patriarchy, and we never really articulate it. You know, it's just like, but if this is how your mom,
like,
that's
how we raised,
wearing heels, and so you're giving me a taste. So this is telling me how food blogging and how are you able, like branding strategies, like so it started there. Like to me, the childhood always tells the story of where you're about to be.
When I was like outside playing when I was younger, my mother said I would come home and be like, I'm dirty, change me. So I've always kind of been a little prim and proper, but like in my early 20s, you know, I like Daisy Dukes as much as the next girl. You know what I mean? But like, that's when I was younger. I'm like, getting older, you know, and I have a husband now. So it's different. He don't want his cheeks out, you know?
No.
So,
I mean, I understand.
So, you know, I like it.
You know, you have to, having a clear vision for what you want and speaking it into existence
is absolutely imperative in anything you want. Like, I always talk about like when I met my husband. So I met my husband when I was working at an apartment complex. I was a leasing manager. Right. And I would float from apartment to apartment. And, you know, when you are like in corporate at the apartment complexes, nobody wants to show apartments. Like that's like grunt work. No one wants to do that, whatever. When he came in, I'm like, oh no, I am going to show him this apartment and I am absolutely going to process his application because I got to see what that credit score look like. And I got to see what his paychecks are every 2 weeks. Right. And when he came in, I took him on. I was super cute that day too. So I gave him the best tour of his life.
Tell me about it.
And then he
messaged me. They're not going to go be in the rental office. Hey, something's wrong in my apartment. I need fixed. Just keeping my eyes open, trying to see, you know? See what I can see. Let it see me, you know?
So we met. He messaged me and said, hey, I think you're beautiful. I would love to, like, you know, take you out for dinner. I was like, sure. I was super excited. Now, this was like 10 years ago.
Right.
But like I went to BB, remember in Lenox? I was like, I got a brand new dress at BB and I went to Mac. Yeah. Remember they didn't have like the mobile MUA. So I had to like go to Mac and spend $50 to get my face beat. Okay.
Hope and pray that the color matched.
Okay. I was like, oh my God. And then I waited. I was early and he like texted me, I think at like, we were supposed to meet at 7:30 and he texted me at like 7:15, like, can we push the date back to like 11 o'clock?
Ooh.
And I was like,
you did not like that.
Absolutely not.
No.
I said, there's nothing open but legs and Waffle House and I'm not interested in either. And I blocked him.
Oh.
Yeah. So he kept calling me and I was just like, I don't have time for this. But that was a problem. I was like too giddy. Like typically if it was anybody else, I would have made him like chase me a little bit. I was like, no, this is different. Absolutely not. So then after that, he like came to my job with like 3 dozen of roses and was like, hey, I'm so sorry I messed up. Like, let me take you. I was like, I'll check my schedule. I'll get back to you. Last time I was a little thirsty. So, and then we went out to dinner and we had a great time. And then we hung out for like 90 days and the rest is history.
And then it was like,
we're locked in.
Locked in after 90 days.
We're locked
So maybe 90 days really does work.
It does. It does. It does.
Tell me, because I'm out here single.
I heard the dating market's a little diluted.
The dating pool got pee in it, bro.
I heard it.
And for me, at this age and at this stage,
it's different conversations. We're not just trying to go get something.
My peace. I value my peace over anything else. You know what I'm saying? And also, because of my parents, and the lifestyle that I'm a product of.
For sure.
I have 11 siblings, 9 different babies, moms. You know what I'm saying? So my understanding or what my belief system is in men and how the dynamics of monogamy and honesty work, I'm more interested in honesty than I am over monogamy. Monogamy is more of a fairy tale in my mind than it is a reality. Because I know a lot of sex workers and most of the clientele are married men. So
for sure.
So my vision has always been like, oh yeah, guys just have other women. Either you know about it or you don't. But now I'm to the age of, I don't really want to be with nobody forever. And so I'm cool with how you make me feel when I'm with you. People aren't a possession to me. Or maybe I haven't met someone.
Deep. I like this.
Or maybe I haven't met someone where it's like, or maybe because of what I've been through, it's like, I really don't own nobody. And when I felt myself it's not healthy for me or for them. And it's like, how do you make me feel? Because if you're lying, right? So listen to this game. So the problem with people in the relationships now is outside activity is more respected than how you're taking care of your home unit, right?
And it used to be back in the 80s, like they
had them. They were secrets.
And they
around the corner.
You weren't really like your home was taken care of. It's not
right.
Like, we're sharing a car and then you're using the car to drop me off and go see somebody else. You need to be going to work, sir.
Right.
Okay. You can't, we don't have the capacity now for you to have.
We don't have role identity anymore. That's what it is.
You don't think so?
No. Women are a lot more. And once women became financially independent of men, it changed the dynamic. And so for some women, it's like hold on, if you're not providing me with XYZ, then you're not on my time. Whereas there's a lot of women who accept a lot of things just to have a man there. You know what I'm saying? That's true. And then beyond that, like with men, usually they're lying in their relationships because they really don't want to share the idea of anyone having sex with their woman. So it's more of that than it is that it may be happening, if that makes sense.
It does.
Men can't handle the idea. You know what I'm saying? But they're doing it with 5 and 10 people. You can't handle one in a year or something. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that that's what you should be doing, but people don't live in their truth a lot of times. That's true. Is what I've observed.
Absolutely.
Where relationships are now. There's a lack of family unit and the importance of honesty and monogamy, right? So for me, I'm like, fuck, that's a fairy tale. You know what I'm saying? But you're like, I believe that your marriage is happy. You know,
we are, though. We really are.
You're diamond in the rough. You met him. I didn't even know that you met him in the leasing office. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As we got into the main course, I was going to be asking you, you were somebody before blogging and what was that? And you already slid and told me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're best friends. That's
But I love that.
We're homies. We're whenever I have the best news, he's the first person I want to call. Whenever I have the worst news, he's the first person I want to call. And that's him. But we've always had a very transparent relationship. So it's just it just works for us.
So before you were in the office doing more residential work, how did you get into eating with Erica?
So literally when I was working at the leasing office, I was working at this magazine and I was doing outside sales. Okay. So I always was a Houston, Ruth Chris kind of girl. You know what I mean? And then when I found out about working at this magazine, there was so many amazing restaurants that I was assigned to that like they were hidden gems. Like I had no idea about them or whatever. So my job was to get them advertising space. And I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. But I was so nervous to start it because it was like a little passion project, you know? And I remember like being up at like 2:00 in the morning one day, and I saw this guy. He was like an award-winning food blogger, and I was like, "Oh my God, let me see his website or whatever." And it was like misspelled words, run-on sentences. And I was like, "I know you lying." Like, right. I was like, "Let me get my domain name. Like, let's do it." And when I was working at this food magazine, I was getting them ad space, and I decided to do my own thing. And I went to the publisher. I was like, I think I have a great idea. Because I kept trying to get them to do more social, more digital. And they just were not hearing it. They were like, we've done this always. There's really no point of us getting like an Instagram. No one's going to be putting their business on Instagram.
But do you think that, I'm going to assume that this was more of a wider space?
For sure.
Right. Do you think that they didn't take you seriously because of that?
No, I don't think they took anybody seriously. I think it was just one of those things where like we're making money and we don't need to do it because we've always done this way. And I think that that's how companies go out of business, not being innovative, not thinking about the next thing.
But you don't really think in the back of their mind, like you don't think if like Susan or Karen came in with the same idea and the same execution that they would have given up the opportunity?
They told everybody no. Like I came with ideas. My friend Constance came with ideas. Hi, Constance. They should everybody know.
But I kind of feel like magazines and things like that are kind of archaic. Even TV shows.
You feel like TV shows are archaic?
Who's behind, who's running.
Oh, I feel like that's all businesses, you know, which is why I decided to be my own boss, because it's
exactly.
Like, I don't want to have to go and try and plead a good idea. And everything that I've asked them to do, I've put into my own business, and obviously it's worked.
Right.
So I felt like, you know.
So that's how it was born. That's how Eating with Erica was.
And let me interject. So when I went to the publisher and I told him like, hey, you know, I'm really excited about this idea, he literally was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Like, right. This is so dumb. And I was just like, oh, like, that's the best way to get like me fired up. Like, my idea is stupid. Like, right. Are you kidding me? But he was like from New York and like super abrasive. So you know how the New
So he lit the fire.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, we're about to
show you.
And so then I ended up getting fired from my part-time job. Yep. I was terminated. And I was like, that's fine. Y'all don't offer me any health benefits anyway. I'm not getting a 401k here. So.
Why'd you get fired? Do you want to talk about it?
Because, I mean, he didn't like my idea and I was going to do it anyway. Okay. And he was just like, you can't do both. And I was like, okay. And a part-time job.
Okay. You're going to stop me from what I do on my time. You ain't even paying for that.
I was commissioned. Okay. Yeah, I was selling. But the magazines were selling.
Yeah, but if they're not giving you the idea, no.
I'm out of here. Yeah. We're done. Yeah. So that's what I did.
And then the homies told you Instagram, girl.
She like literally made me an Instagram. She had to give me the password. Like, I made you an Instagram. Like, just start. Like, we go out to eat all the time. Just post the food.
Are you guys still friends?
No.
See? See? You know what I'm saying? See?
Okay. My cousin was telling me to do it, and then my other previous girlfriend was telling me to do it, and then my previous girlfriend, no, we're not speaking anymore. But thank you.
You know, sometimes we outgrow people. Thank you.
You absolutely outgrow people.
You do outgrow people. And sometimes there is a problem, but sometimes it's literally like it's just not there anymore. We've outgrown. I'm onto this, you're onto that. And it's like sometimes, I think a lot of times people don't know how to outgrow people and they create a problem when there isn't one.
It doesn't have to be just, we don't align anymore.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be any drama.
But some people don't know how to do that. A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Well, a lot of people don't know how to deal with conflict. And
conflict resolution is lacking within the home.
You know I'm very confrontational, so...
I mean, I know I am. I think that every time we've been out, I was more on the confrontational side than you were. I mean, but you are a straight shooter, and you're so clearly with it. It's like moving straight ahead. I didn't even think that anything I said could have even been not even at all.
So we typically go out.
This is like my reality, sweetheart. It's like me. I'm a little bit more aggressive in it. You know,
you're a little aggressive. I like it. You know? It works for you.
It does.
I couldn't imagine you any other way.
I wouldn't want to be any other way.
It works.
I feel like you wouldn't want to be any other way.
I love it here.
You are through and through. I think that's why we are so like in tune with each other.
But I think it comes from like having like self-worth and knowing yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like, social media does not tell me how to live my life. I move to my own beat of my own drum, and it just works. And I feel like when you are a strong woman, you attract strong women.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're around someone that's like, I'm the best.
Right.
if you don't feel like you're the best, I'm really going to rumble some demons because it's like, no, she's not. She's not. What? Be humble. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like I want you to feel like you're the best too.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't, I'm going to still feel like the best.
It's called self-esteem. It starts with yourself.
Esteem of your motherfucking self.
Mm-hmm.
That was that Cat Williams.
Mm-hmm. It was Cat Williams.
You know what I'm saying? I know the reference now. So after you met your husband and you started, it seems like that relationship helped you to launch Eating with Erica.
So I was working. This is a thing too. Like I did not just wake up one day and decide to do this. Like so many people right now are saying, leave your job. And it's just like,
no, I don't believe in that.
And go where? Like I was working my 9 to 5 and then working my 5 to 9.
Yes.
And then I did corporate marketing for YP, aka Yellow Pages, and I was there for 3 years, and they did a layoff, and I was involved.
Because it's like, what are the Yellow Pages?
They started doing.
I know what they are,
but at the time
now,
they were
the kids now. What's a Yellow Pages?
I know back in the day,
what is a Yellow Pages?
It was so. Can you believe there used to be a book with people's addresses and names? Like,
oh my God, Jesus!
Like, how unsafe is that? So when I got laid off, I was really kind of in a crossword because like I wasn't making as much money with Eating with It. It was like fly by nights. I would make some money some months, but it wasn't anything consistent by any means.
You were learning the game though.
Exactly. So when I talked to my husband about it, he was like, well, I'll give you 6 months to try and figure it out. And you don't have to worry about anything financial and just
see, that was the support I was talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he believed in the dream.
Hey, now when there is real black love, it's beautiful.
There's absolutely.
It's beautiful. Hey, whatever shade it is, as long as it's healthy, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying?
So it's just like, you know, I don't think that like when you start something new, you have to plan. You have to plan for operating costs. You have to plan. You need revolving capital. Like, you know, so many of these entrepreneurs feel bad if they have to go get a job.
Well, a lot of them don't want to work.
Why not?
Well, they want the end result, but they don't want to do the work in between to obtain it.
How are you going to pay for it?
I don't know.
Like, that's my question. Like, how?
I don't know, but beyond that, also, a lot of people lack financial literacy because I've made a lot of money.
You've made a lot of money.
I've made a lot of money.
Okay, so why do you feel like, okay, you lacked financial literacy? What would you do different?
I would have spent more time on my financial education. I think that financial education should start way younger, but that wasn't even in my home. Like my mom, you know, she was okay with where she was, you know, and I always wanted bigger, you know, like it was always bigger. Like I didn't you know, but my dad had a bigger life, you know, so that's where my vision of what it was supposed to look like came from, you know? So I just feel like when you have that extra support of your relationship, because who has like 6 months, get it together. And so you basically got it together.
You feet to the street. Feet to the street. Absolutely. I'm about to run it up. I mean, that's really a luxury. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about anything. And I'm just like, I need help with this. I need help with that. But, you know, I also had severance. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, well, you know, you got to use your severance for this. Like, no, it's like, that's your money.
But there's a lot of people out there, even listeners, that don't even understand what a severance means. Okay. Seriously.
Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious. Okay. Educate the people.
Okay. So like when you work at a position, they give you a lump sum of money for your tenure there. So like
what is tenure for the people that don't know? I'm so serious.
For your time working as a position. You gotta
speak the language over here. Like, you fluent in money and then we try to get it. Okay, so talk to me.
So when I worked at my position, I was laid off. When I was laid off, I was there for I believe 3 or 4 years I was there. As I was there, when they laid me off, they gave me a lump sum of money for every year that I was there. And then they gave me my bonuses and I got like 6 months of pay as well. And then, you know, I got unemployment. So they gave me a lump sum.
A nice package.
But that's why I like corporate.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, I hate corporate. What is it? Their paycheck is the money they give you. Forget your dreams. No, I was very working on my dreams. And I got that job because I was a freelance writer for them. And they said, hey, do you know a community marketing manager? And I was like, I would love to be a community marketing manager. They're like, really? I was like, yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get out the apartment. It's like, yeah, let's do it. So I had like 10 interviews and they were like, yeah, they offered it. They gave me a great salary. Like, I love that job. If I was not laid off, I still probably would be doing both.
So that essentially was your pivot.
Yeah.
This was your pivot time.
Like, I'm doing this full time. And that's in entrepreneurship, you're a commission employee. Like,
it's the ghetto.
It's like literally, I'm no different from a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Like literally, where's the next $100 coming from?
we have to manifest the next check.
And then you have to like do just little stuff like, gas, meeting for coffee. I mean, before you even start or make $1 from your business, you have to pay $100 for an LLC in Georgia. I think like in New York, your LLC is $1,000 and you have to pay for an ad to run announcing your business. So I think that's like an extra $300. So like before you make any money, you have to pay like New York, like $1,300.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's expensive to start a business. It's not easy, especially if you want to do business right and have your foundation.
I was going to say, a lot of people aren't starting businesses correctly. They're starting in the middle, at the end. There's no education.
And it makes no sense because we have more access now to anything you want to know than any other time.
I understand that part, right? But I feel like, so in your household when you were growing up, financial literacy was a thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there's so many of us where those conversations literally never happened. So mentally, you're still like 12. And what you're, and not to say it's at your fingertips when you're so used to how you operate and how you live your life. Yeah. Sometimes it's discouraging at the thought of, people don't really want to say, I don't know how to deal with money. I don't really know what's understandable.
That's understandable.
Money. People don't have a good relationship with money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it starts in the house. So I'm like, girl, you was with the heels and the book. And you know what I'm saying? I know your mom was talking about the bank. And the money.
But yeah, my parents definitely encouraged home ownership because it's like, if you think about it, I was telling my girlfriend this like, I think a month ago. And I was like, you need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. Because it's like, let's say, for instance, you have a job. And as you have your job, you get a $10,000 raise every year, right? And you're in an apartment and they go up on your rent. Yeah. It's a wash.
Like here. I've been living here. I've spent 200 and something thousand living here.
And it's just like with your house, your rent doesn't go up. It's kind of fixed.
Yes, this is true.
So that's why I was like, just from a budget standpoint, at least it would just from a budget
like
standpoint, it's cheaper. I mean, everybody, I know houses are getting a bad rap right now. They're like, oh, it's not.
No, I mean, I haven't got a house because I didn't really want the responsibility and I'm single.
You're a single
You know what I'm saying? And
you don't even know if you're going to be in Georgia. Like, if you get an amazing client and they're like, come to Toronto, you're in Toronto.
I'm kind of not there no more.
You don't want to do that no more?
I mean, no, I want to do my juice. I want somebody to invest in. Where is the money at? It's like, just invest. I'll do the work. I got it all.
So you don't want to do chef stuff no more?
It's related to food. It's juicing, raw food cafe, farm.
I love that.
All attached cycle house, and including in my business model is education and financial literacy. Because I know that I've blown so much money.
What you blowing on?
Man, life. Living. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking of I needed a house. I was thinking of I'm about to go and
have fun, have a good time.
10,000 here, or
you look at that.
And I have a very generous heart, so I gave a lot of money away. You know what I'm saying?
Where they at?
I did, girl. In the wind.
I need some invoices sent out.
In the wind. But see, that's when you have lack of love and self-esteem. Sometimes, especially as women, we accept things that are beneath us.
Some people pleasing.
Yes. And some people manipulate you off of
that. Yeah.
But you gotta stand up.
10 toes.
Because we ain't no victims around here. Because whatever you accept, that's a choice.
No one's keeping anybody.
I don't like giving other people power. So I don't really like to say, oh, it's because no. Like, this is what happened.
I made a bad decision.
No, I didn't love myself then. There's a name for it.
How did you find self-love then?
Through the grieving process of losing my little sister. Because I lost my little sister back to back to losing my mom. And so I really sat back and looked at, I'm like older now. I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you
like,
doing?
How many times are you going to have a mental, and I went through the 80-pound weight loss transformation. Yeah. So I had to start understanding that my block was mental. I did the working out. I did the healthy eating, but the conversations that I was having with myself about myself was holding me back. Because now I have that stress within my body. I might it looks everywhere. I'm well kept. I keep everything together, but I could be doing so much more if I love myself more, or if I put that time in to my education. Because like you said, it's at my fingertips. So I can't really just say, oh, just because I wasn't living right. I wasn't doing, that's why. But
I love the transparency. Yeah. I think more people need to be having conversations.
And it was never taught in my home. Like, my dad was killed when I was young. He had all the money. And it's like, my mom was struggling after that. So it's like, I wanted more. And so that segues into you building your blog and how on top of it you were with, because at this point you hadn't had the responsibility of branding and marketing as much as you wanted to. You had the story ideas. You could put things together, but you didn't have that freedom or responsibility.
I was so excited about my first website.
Yeah.
I look back, I was like laughing, like this was crap.
No, but you started.
That's it. You just got to start. Like, what is it? It's like you got to drive and fix a flat tire. You got to drive and just keep it going. Like, you got to multitask. So, I mean, as long as you keep going, that's all that matters. Like, you can always rebrand and change the logo and change. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. You just got to get started.
You can change the detour.
You just got to get started. Just drive.
You do.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
It wasn't. And so you spent 10 years building Eating with Erica. Can you tell people more about food blogging that they might not know or understand?
I mean, the first thing is what
is blogging?
So like blogging is just documenting. Back in the day, it was like a diary, you know what I mean? But now it's pretty much just like an online platform just to share your thoughts, recipes, things like that. Recipes, entertaining tips, dining tips, and things like that. Me personally, I love Instagram, but I kind of feel like Instagram's the appetizer. Mm-hmm. Like if you're looking for a place to take your girlfriend or your boyfriend, I don't think they're going to come to my page and scroll up from a year. They're going to go to Google and say, where's the best place for date night in Atlanta? There. Exactly. Yeah. So for me, my blog is like evergreen content.
That's where you're connected. That's a go-to when you look on Google.
Sometimes. I mean, but you have to sign down the app and things like that. Right. Like you typically go to like, my website or Eater or something like that, And I wanted it to be very accessible to people just to type it in and I just pop right up. So I take pictures, I document, I highlight chefs. That's how one of the ways we've connected. I've done interviews with chefs to kind of give them a platform because a lot of chefs don't get their flowers. You know what I mean? So I'm like, if I could provide, a showcase for some amazing chefs, why not? Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Beyond that, once you started getting paid full time, I feel like your dream and your pivot kind of like expanded. What was that when you were like, I could actually do this for other people?
So when we first started influencing, a lot of the girls thought we were lame. Right. Like they thought it was like, this is so lame. These girls are taking pictures with products. They're and they're like, wait, y'all are getting paid for this? Like, yeah, you think we're just going to, tag?
Well, a lot of people don't understand that you're literally getting paid for what you do.
You get paid for that. Like, yeah, it's like we work with brands. We collaborate. Brands come to us and say, hey, we love your audience. We love your look. We love what you're doing. And we would love for you to create content that we can also use on your page. And sometimes they're like, we just want you to create the content so we can just use it for our page.
So when that changed in your career, when that started happening more, did you go to them or did they come to you?
I always go. Today, I still go. Brock still reaches out. I don't wait. I feel like any business is about volume. Mm-hmm. And if I'm waiting for somebody to reach out to me, that's not enough volume. So I'm always actively seeking out opportunities. I always act like I don't have a job and I'm always like applying. Like if you are unemployed and you have Indeed, are going to reach out one time, I'm going to reach out to like 30 people.
A lot of people don't think like that. Well, this is amazing. I love it.
It's about volume. Like literally, as an influencer,
it's a numbers game.
It's totally a numbers game. Right. So it's just like, it's not just one thing you have to do. It's like a lot. And I think a lot of people feel like being an influencer is super
It's easy. A lot of work.
It's so
content
much
creation is
It's so much work. Not to mention the contracts I just brought on in-house counsel. Shout out to Beverly Bill Jr. Literally she reviews all my contracts because these contracts are like 360 deals. Like
they're insane.
They're insane. And if you don't know, I remember the first contract, I was like, what is perpetuity? Like what?
Forever. But you don't know. So did you sign?
Absolutely not. I had to I had to go to a lawyer and they're like, I was like, you charge $250 an hour.
An hour.
And I was like, well.
So a lot of people hear that and they don't get a lawyer and they sign shitty deals.
I would rather pay the $250 because it probably can cost me more if I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know what I'm doing.
It usually does cost you.
If I don't know what I'm doing and I can't read the contract.
So the $250 is worth it.
It's absolutely pay your attorneys.
Get a lawyer.
Also, please make sure you're trademarked.
And stop signing shit without a lawyer.
You have to. That's what they go to school for.
Lawyers are working in your favor. That little $250 is gonna be nothing compared to what you're gonna get. And you're setting the tone when you have a lawyer involved. You don't have a lawyer involved, whoever's on the other end already knows that they can get over.
They have an upper hand immediately.
And they usually are gonna get over you because they can.
Because you don't know. There's a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that you don't know.
Well, okay. So what are some typical things that people should be asking for in those type of like deals?
Okay, so like when
if you're going to do branded content,
if you're going to work with brands, you need to be very clear. What I ask brands is, how do we define success from this partnership? Some brands want more followers. Some brands want likes. Some brands want saves. Some brands just want beautiful pictures that they can reuse on their stuff. Be very clear about your payment terms. Okay, find out. Be very clear. If they're saying it's net 60, ask and see.
I don't do net 60. I do 80% up front, 20% on the back end, depending on what it's really looking like. I might need the 100% all up front, and I don't want to wait for anything on the back end.
And then on top of that, make sure you under promise and over deliver.
Exactly.
A lot of people say, I can do this and I can do that and I can do it in 3 days. And no, you can't.
Yeah.
And now you've ruined a relationship. They're probably not going to spin the block for you.
You're stressed out.
For no
Your work
reason.
is not good.
Because I think sometimes what happens though is when you are excited about an opportunity, you get so excited that you just want to say yes and just do it because you're like, I've been waiting for this opportunity. And then after you take the opportunity, it's like, oh, wait.
I'm really not ready for this.
I'm not. Well, no, it's like, number one, I sold myself short.
Right.
Because I was thirsty. Number two, I don't even have the time. Number three, I don't even know, because there's people, you have to invest. Like, you got to pay your photographer. If you use a videographer, like, there's a lot of things that you have to. It
costs money.
And you didn't even look at the book. Is that even the budget? Rent's due tomorrow.
You didn't have a budget?
Like, so it's just... You
was just out here free balling, raw dogging the idea.
And it happened to work. And now we're ill prepared. So it's just like, make sure you're very clear and concise on what you can do. And it's a negotiation. And I just signed a year partnership with Noosa, the yoga company.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about it. But I was like, I just had to keep it cool. Like, keep it cool. But like, they're wonderful to work with. But it's just like, I was very clear on what I could do, what I cannot do. And they were super. I was like, I hope they say yes. I hope they say yes. But
I love that.
It worked out.
Being honest about what you can do
and what you can't do. Because it's going to... Everybody's going to be disappointed.
Honesty is going to take you further every time.
That's it.
Because you got to keep up with that lying shit. And then until they tell you can't. So
it's too much.
Just be honest.
So it's fun.
Yeah. I love that. So when you started delving more into those type of deals, what did those really look like financially when you started? Because I would imagine like early blogging compared to where you're at now.
Early, it was just
different.
Oh, for sure, because I was just creating content just to like get a resume out there. Like, you paying photographer, you're doing your hair, doing your makeup, you're shooting,
like me,
and you're just hoping that some wishing on a star.
We were talking about what your contract, like number wise, used to look like when you first started out in the blogging compared to where you're at now.
I think it depends on how much money you want your lifestyle to be. So
okay.
When you break it down to like, okay, rent. You typically should make 3 times your rent. Okay. Of your own money. That way, sometimes, the first and the 15 hits like, ooh, that's a long stretch. You know what I mean? So I say when you go into entrepreneurship, number one, don't leave your job. And if you are going to leave your job, create a nest egg for 6 to 8 months because it's slow money sometimes. Like I just got done chasing a company that did not pay me since, I'm going to say, last October.
Ooh.
Exactly.
They're late.
And what happened was somebody left that had my invoice.
Right.
And I was pregnant. Hello. And that's when Brock came into play. And I was like, oh, I'm missing some money. And they weren't responsive. So finally we had to send over a demand letter. And they're like, we're so sorry. The person left. She didn't send us your invoice. And they gave me my money within 3 days. But if I was in need of that money, that could have crippled me. You know what I mean? So I say when you start, literally, I say it like this. If you know business, right? So if I was a makeup artist, let's say I was in Birmingham, Alabama, or even Atlanta, and I was coming, let's say Atlanta. I was coming to Atlanta and I wanted to do makeup. I see the average face in Atlanta is $150, $175.
Okay.
If I'm trying to build up my clientele, I would charge $75 a face because number one, they would take a chance with the $75 face over paying $150. But then on top of that, you do one face an hour. That's $75 an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I would say the numbers game. I also would say that when you think about entrepreneurship, think about how much money you need to live. And I'm not just saying to pay the bills.
Right.
How much money do you need to go on that trip to, Bora Bora? How much money do you need if you get a flat tire? How much money do you need to buy that house? And multiply that by 2.
So that's how you operated.
That's how
even early on when you first started blogging?
Yeah, I had to save. I'm not going to, what is it? Go broke or die trying? Like, that's not, entrepreneurship is already invasive enough.
I've definitely been a go broke or die trying.
Absolutely not. I had no problem when things were slow going in the temp agency. Okay. And just working a couple of days because, savings getting a little low. We have a little too many photo shoots coming up.
Right.
Like, no, you have to budget.
Do the work, budget.
I can't use my last $100 for this.
Okay, so you basically went into it or structure it as how I live has to be paid.
How I lived in corporate, it has to be better what I was doing in corporate.
Okay.
And I was doing good in corporate.
Okay. I just think that sometimes a lot of people don't really have a realistic expectation. Like if I'm doing food blogging, I post something for a company with a liquor brand that typically looks like $2,000. You know, people don't know that.
Really?
I'm dead serious. So I keep trying to draw it out of you. I'm not talking about the lump sum of things.
No, I'm saying
because some people aren't thinking large enough to even pay for their life. So I think that's great advice for people.
You have to think about like your lifestyle.
People really don't know the basics of if I'm going to do a liquor brand post, this is what it looks like.
But I think it also depends on all content's not created equally. You know what I mean? So literally if I have 50,000 followers and I'm taking pictures with my iPhone, but someone has 12,000 followers and they have an entire setup like this, we can't charge the same. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would say that it could be some bloggers, some food bloggers are getting $30,000 Instagram post.
What?
Yeah. But also they're making money passively too, because like, for instance, if you have affiliate links, I know Amazon does some amazing affiliate links, but like someone comes to your website, they purchase an item from your website. And let's say, for instance, you get like a kickback of like 20 cents or something like that. But some of these affiliate programs, like you'll get like, I think it's something like 20% of their entire cart for 24 hours. I've had friends people have purchased those little 20-cent cards. And then after they present the little 20-cent cards, someone buys a refrigerator and they get a 20% commission off of that. Right. Without leaving their house. Like this, that's passive money. And I think that's what people need to focus on. 3 things. Is your business essential? Like, I like it, but are the masses? And like India was saying, like, does someone else need this? Are you feeling a need? Right. You are not buying your own product. So you have to kind of tailor it to the masses. Number 2, passive. Right. What can you do that you're like, when I broke my arm, like before my wedding, I was literally doing photo shoots with the sling. I'm like, I guess this ain't my passive girl era. You know what I mean? And I was like, I got to redo some things because like I had a contract, I had a commitment, I had things to do, and I had to do it with the broken arm. Right. Husband covering the arm so I don't look. It was a mess.
But you got it done.
I got it done.
In the end.
And I said, we got to restructure some things. Yeah. I'm going to restructure it.
Realistically. A lot of people I feel like don't know how to pivot. And so.
I think it depends on whenever I talk to some of my girls.
But that's a pivot.
When I talk to my girls from Thomas Co, we work backwards. So what is your end goal? Right. And as your end goal, we know what opportunities to take, whether it's paid or not paid. Like, some of my best opportunities have not been paid. Right. But it's worth it. It's not like, they're asking me to, do ridiculous things, but it hasn't been paid, but it's led to so many amazing bigger things.
Right. And sometimes the relationship is more than the money.
Relationship is everything. You can have the money, you can have everything else, but if you don't have the reputation, you won't get anything. Right. Your reputation matters.
Your reputation does matter.
It can make or break. When people bring up your name, it's like, ooh, I wouldn't work with. When they say,
Jourdan,
when they bring up, it's like, oh, I'm working with Jourdan. When you hear that, you know what it means.
I come with a cautionary, warning sign.
You've calmed down a lot over the years now. You've calmed down.
I have.
You're still a little spicy, but it's different.
A little softer spice. I went from like cayenne pepper down to like,
girl. Crack pepper. One of those ghost peppers? A ghost pepper.
I was out here wilding for a little while. You know what I'm saying? We love it.
But I love to see the growth. It looks good on you.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to catch up to you. You teaching me. You're not just teaching my chefs out here. I'm trying to soak up the game. I'm like, okay, this is how I got to change my wording and manifest it different. Okay, I love it. So now that you've been able to, at this point, kind of hone in on your branding and marketing and merging them together, because it's like you're outside of just food blogging now. Yeah. And so what were the 3 things that made you come to that decision with Thomas & Co? Like, what is that?
People kept reaching out.
Because you're not eating with Erica no more.
I kept like I was forced into it, like literally like gun to my back. Like people were asking me on the daily basis, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I was just like, you know what? I just need to create a platform. And my husband helped me with it because I was just like, I'm the creative and he's more of the numbers guy. So it's just like, I think that we should start a monkey throwing business and we're to be throwing bananas. And he's like, pause. How many bananas do we have to get? Where are the bananas coming from? Are we going to be able to source them? And I'm like, I don't know. I ain't thought about all that. I just want to throw some. And so it's just like, let me wheel you back in. So I was like, I thought about this and I think it's a good idea. And I had already been doing content creation for businesses. So whatever. So he was like, well, let's get it on paper and you can start paying taxes because he's very serious about the taxes.
Yeah. Taxes aren't no joke.
No, they're not.
I feel like I get penalized being single with no baby.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely.
What are you talking about? What are you? And then they're talking about not even giving us Social Security. So it's like, what? So what? It's the organized thievery of crime within the American structure is
I've always
wild.
I've always loved helping people.
Yeah.
And it makes me so happy to see these girls like reaching their goals and people who actually want to listen. Like, it's like, if you're coming over here, like, you're not going to like me some days.
Right.
You're not going to like, I know that picture has 50.
You deal on results.
That's it. Yeah. We specialize in results in my Tony Child's voice. But it's just like, you may not like it, but you're going to have to delete that picture. Like, we want to make sure your brand's safe. People don't. I don't make the rules, and I feel like sometimes when people can...
You're like, Jourdan, that's why we're just friends.
No, not true. Not true. You know you like them cheeks out, okay?
I haven't had them out in a long time. But you know, when I'm on the beach and, you know, Mexico's celebrating 41, hey, it ain't gonna be here forever. You know what I'm saying?
You like some cheeks. Some cheeks to get some play.
Just a little bit. There's little cakes. You know, little cakes matter. You know?
I was about to say, that's your tagline. Little cakes matter.
Little cakes matter. You gotta, you know, body positivity, you know.
I've always liked it. I love Thomas & Co. because it's such a different hat. It's like it's more of an educator hat that I get to wear more than a creative, and just teaching these girls how to create processes and how to, like, you know, streamline.
So when they come to you, that's what
they're like, look,
when someone hires you, what are they doing?
Okay. Number 1, we're coming up with strategy for their page. Okay. Number 2, we're coming up with brand direction. Number 3, we're coming up with like brand worthy content. And I don't think that people realize that. It's like, I have these followers, and it's just like, I don't think a lot of women also realize that influencer marketing is a $16 billion industry.
No, I'm just laughing because of myself at this point.
It's a $16 billion industry, and it's supposed to go up.
Right.
And as it's going up, it's like there's more than enough. There's so many influencers now that's doing things. We have influencers that have Down syndrome. We have influencers that are deaf. We have influencers that do a little bit of everything. So
you're
it's
not
like,
going blind in my right eye.
Really?
Yeah, let's get to the bag.
You know what?
It's called retinitis pigmentosa.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. I'm listening to all this shit. I'm like, hold up.
How long have you been blind in that eye?
Hey, I really just found out a few months ago. I did my another first of talking about something publicly.
We need to talk about that.
Because on your blog that they could tune into and find of us together, I talked about something else. You did. An exclusive. But yeah.
It's an Eating with Erica exclusive.
Yeah.
So we really talk about, and then we talk about their goals. Like literally, yes, it's my business, but it's like, this is your brand. So it's like, how are we going to bring this to life? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what they come to me for. So it's been fun.
So it really is true. Like, you're the Olivia Pope.
Like, I'm very particular on people that I help too.
Right.
Because it's like, I know I'm not a fit for everybody.
Right.
And everybody's not a fit for me, and I'm okay with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is actually, I think, a lot harder work because you're coming in and you're telling people that basically how they're representing themselves is not necessarily beneficial. Like, I have 27,000, 28,000.
And your followers are very influential.
Well, but so I'm laughing because I'm like, wow, like, I'm hearing you now. I heard you before because you've tried to tell me, like, I don't think that, but, you know, now that you've turned it into a successful business.
Yeah.
And so speaking in, like, for me, layman's terms, like with a language that I can understand it, because essentially I didn't know what the company was. So and now I got a clear vision. And like, when you have these contracts, they have like no profanity on your page can be used. No, one of them said no hookah. Okay. One of them said, like, these brands are very specific on the image that you're representing. It's an extension of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So for people that are wanting to either sign on as a client or get into doing something like what you do with brands that maybe have had experience working with brands but want to branch out into this, what's your advice? 2 things.
I would say make sure you have a great network.
Okay.
And when my network is vast, I have friends from Buckhead to Bankhead. I love it.
I love it.
And I think that it's very important that you have your network because as we discussed, your network is your net worth, which is how you got cooking from that tweet from the Fred. Yeah. And it's very important for you to cultivate, not saying that you guys have to talk every single day, but knowing that if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it and you be reliable. And some of my network relationships, we're not the best as a friends, but we're great colleagues and they know if I call them, they can do it. If they call me, I can do it. And then I would also say, make sure you have a plan. Like a hardcore plan. Like I have a plan, like my Google Drive looks a mess, but I have a plan for like my relationship. What goals do I want us to accomplish in 3, 6, 9 months? I have a goal for my son. I have a goal for my daughter. I have a goal for me personally.
So writing everything down.
Writing everything, getting granular. Like what does that look like? Like what do you want your bank account to look like in 6 months? Okay. Break that down. How are we gonna do that? How are we gonna break that number down?
No, so one day I was actually talking to 50 Cent. Yeah. And he had said he had made a vision wall. He's like, everybody talks about vision boards. He was like, but get rich or die trying, era. He said, I made a whole wall of a vision board. He was like, I pulled like what I wanted my carpets to feel like on the car leather. And like, he was like, I even had Mike Tyson's mansion on the wall. So I feel like you do have to get on a granular level. It just made me think of that whole conversation.
Also, like, what they say, like a plan not written down is a wish. Yeah. And it's just like, you have to look and see like, oh man, like I've been falling off. I ain't done none of this. You know what I mean? False start. You have to keep it very fresh in your mind so you can know to do, and don't get distracted from social media. I think a lot of people get so distracted. My thing is, I tell all my girls, make sure you create more than you're consuming.
Yeah. Well, it's an addiction at this point. A lot of people aren't even keeping up with how much time they're giving to their phone and not really doing anything outside of it. So,
and it's just like,
this is part of what you do. So that, I would listen to what you're telling me. I put it
down because it's like, I don't need to see. I also, with social media, you get to pick who is inspiring you and how you feel when you open that phone because you get to select who you follow. Right. So if you're not opening that phone and you're not feeling inspired and you're not feeling refreshed and you're not feeling like, I can do this, maybe you need to unfollow some of these accounts.
Right. Well, anything that makes me feel uneasy or agitated, I just unfollow.
But everybody doesn't do that.
Well, I had to get to that point.
Did you?
Yes.
It's just like social media, you can't play the game.
I have to clean it up.
You can't, you can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 20.
Oh, not like looking at what people were posting, just like if I didn't like them. Or if what they were posting, the energy was off. You know what I'm saying? Or sure. Just, that's what I'm saying, and not understanding the power of even looking at that.
I love that.
But so now that you've given us like your recipe of success, are you thinking about turning what you're doing into an actual show?
No, I feel like you said TV's dead. No, I don't.
But it doesn't have to be on TV per se, but like Netflix or.
You know what? So I don't know.
You speak like you're their dolls. You know what I'm saying? My dolls. I would watch it. You're funny as shit. So
thank you. My husband's going.
Nobody's doing a blogging show.
I think that.
That's right there.
So this is what I'm going to do. So what I'm like, that's the thing. My husband always is like, you can't add anything else to your plate. You want to do everything. So what I am going to do is I'm going to like showcase. I'm working on this series with Tony. You met Tony who did our podcast. Mm-hmm. And we are doing a tried and true segment, Ode to Atlanta Classic Restaurants. Okay. And I feel like, there's so many new restaurants. But I'm like, there's restaurants that's been here for 20, 30 years that people just kind of forget about. And I kind of feel like, especially with like the Lawrence closing, they were open for 11 years and like Redbird closing and like.
My Lawrence?
The Lawrence ATL? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they closed.
What?
And it's just like, I don't feel like that, as a food blogger, I know I couldn't have saved these restaurants, but like, I want to make sure that as much as we're admiring the new ones, let's pay a little homage to the classics too. So we're going to go around and we're going to start showcasing restaurants that's been open for 3, 5,
so 10. So it's audio, video.
Yeah.
Not just like Okay.
We're going to see
Not just still pictures.
No.
Okay, look at me speaking on it. Yeah, okay, so show. We're talking about... No show aspirations. You said shows are dead. Look at you. Oh, you gotta watch out for this one right here.
We're gonna do a little something, just see how it goes. I mean, it's a lot when you're like, I'm independent, you know, I like to consider us, we're like rappers. We don't want to sign. We're independent. So everything's, out of pocket. And, we're gonna work with some sponsors, but it's just, you want to make sure that as you're spending your own money for it, that it's something that you're passionate about. You're not going to get bored with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's solid advice. And so for our dessert.
Okay.
I feel like we've just only scratched the surface of who you are and encompassing what you do.
Yeah.
What do you see next beyond the show?
Okay. So number one, we're picking the dinner parties back up.
Okay.
They were a time. I loved it. It was such an amazing time. And I was like...
I still haven't gotten an invite to one of those.
You'll get invited this year. You'll get invited this year. But we're doing more so of like a supper club.
I've polished myself up enough. I'll wear the appropriate attire. No cheeks out. They might hear a little cousin every now and then. Don't put too much expectation.
But I love the
dinner party series.
I love the dinner parties, but I want to kind of elevate it. So if you can't make the dinner parties, we're going to do like a little happy hour each month. And then if you can't make the happy hour, we're going to do some Zoom calls. And as we do the Zoom calls,
you could maybe partner with India. Well, for the wine thing.
But I also want to partner with you because, like I said, there's some stuff that we need to know how to make. Some of these girls don't know how to make biscuits. I'm some of these girls.
Okay.
Some of these girls don't know how to make lobster tails.
Oh, the cooking dinner series thing. Oh, I'm just remembering that you were doing that part. I was thinking only the dinner series. So what she's speaking about is dinner series, including chefs, and they're not just putting together events for people to have dinners.
We like being hands-on, like cooking in our own kitchen. And you guys like leading us on how to make biscuits and like lobster bisque and things like that. Because, I'm a home cook. I take the title chef very serious. I know right now that because everything's so accessible, but I consider a chef that's someone who actually went to culinary school. They know how to plate. They know that, as you taught me, you can't put, just a top on a hot something because of the condensation. It can
all these people out here with meal preps.
I'd be like, take that off. So it's just like, I'm and because I'm in the culinary space, I know that there are some amazing people that are self-taught, but you can always see with the plating who went to school and who didn't,
Yeah, but that's a misconception because chefs also are taught, like, you can't replace time and experience. So for chefs, some of us, just because you go to culinary arts school, you're not a chef when you graduate. You have to put in the time and experience.
For sure.
And so you can't replace the two. So then you have to go and learn under a chef.
Like we have Master Chef.
Yes. You don't just get to, you cook food for the family, everybody loves it, or you turned it into a hustle and now you're a chef. There's really, blood, sweat, tears, and we actually have a relationship with the food. Yeah. Time and experience. You can't replace the two.
At all. And you shouldn't try to. And I enjoy the process. We always say that, when you start new stuff, it keeps you humble.
It does.
You don't ever get too big headed because you start new stuff. So you're always hopefully this works.
Yeah. You got to have the vision and then you got to actually do the work.
Execution. And this is the thing. We're striving for execution, not perfection.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Do it.
Just do it. Everybody has all this amazing content.
Like
just
Mike.
post it. Just post it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll start working on polishing up my image and making my content more intentional and get an actual photographer. Yeah.
You do some cool stuff.
But people don't know. Some people really try to do this with their phones. And so you've just been casually just dropping game all day. I could talk to you for hours.
I love this. I can't wait for part 2.
I could talk to you for hours. So can you tell the people where they can find you?
I'm at eatingwitherica.com. And then you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Eating with Erica.
And if you are somebody in the space that needs help, they can find you at thomasandco.com. See? Now, okay. So thank you, Erica. Thank you. You are so much more than a food blogger to me.
So sweet.
And so that could be a show title for you. So much more than a food blogger. But thank you, Chefies, for tuning in. And that's a wrap.